Madness podcast. This is a special TV episode. I'm Matt. This is Ben. We're joined again by our TV expert, Jake Huhn.
The outlaw.
I love it. And this week, in preparation for the premiere of season 2 of Westworld, we're going to be talking about our what we thought of the first season and where we think season 2 is going to go. Shall we drink to the lady with the white shoes? Cheers.
What does that mean?
As hell.
We're drinking the High West whiskey, which has kind of a significance because
last year we watched the finale together. We were all dressed Western-like, and we both brought a bottle of High West double rye whiskey because it's so iconically Western.
All right, so I'd like to start by talking about the first season.
I love the way that Westworld takes that HBO formula and elevates it with some philosophy and some puzzles and really trying to get the viewer to think a lot rather than just revel in the drama.
As a first season, I think it's a better first season than Game of Thrones. But as a series, I don't think it's there yet. I don't know. I think it needs to age like a fine whiskey.
This is one of the shows that hits me so personally, like
Because you're a robot?
Yeah. What makes Westworld so powerful for me personally is it sets itself up as this idea of like what happens when your escapes. You can't escape in your escape.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting. But then they work in a lot of the like Blade Runner consciousness stuff with all the different
That's my
new
hope.
technology that I love.
Do these androids in Westworld dream of electric sheep? That's all I want to know.
I don't know, man. There are definitely a lot of layers to this show. There's the commentary on humanity in the sense of escaping, and then can you not escape within this escape, which is now your nightmare. You've been locked into it. That stuff's crazy. I think that it says, they do comment on human nature a lot, on technology a lot, but I am hooked by the underlying philosophy and yes, the Blade Runner elements where it's, what does it mean to be a person? Literally the mind-body problem. Is there more to to humans than just the neurons that make up our brain?
The meaning of life.
They really make you look that problem head on.
Yeah.
And Star Trek did it before anybody. That's the disclaimer.
All right, so I want to talk about, before we get into season 2 and where we think the show's going to go, I want to quickly talk about the favorite character from the first season that you kind of latched onto, a specific moment or like one of the big twists.
The entirety of the Man in Black, from his inception to his twist, every character kind of got a bit of a twist. His was great. I think he shined when he was the mysterious figure in black.
Who doesn't love it's Ed Harris.
Ed Harris.
Oh my gosh, amazing actor.
So good.
My favorite storyline, my favorite character was Maeve. She's got a really important role. I think she's probably like either the second or most important character of the show. What we talked about, like, do we have free? Does she really have free will? We don't know if she has free will.
Yeah.
Everything that happens to her is like, is this programmed or not programmed? Because she could have left at the very end. It's like, and like her memories and she's the only one that is conscious.
The performances across the board are amazing.
Across the board.
I felt like
Even
not
Cyclops.
just the performances, but the characters themselves each have their own kind of interesting tidbit to latch onto.
Absolutely.
But I actually felt like Ford had the most interesting storyline, and I think it's encapsulated at the very start, if you guys remember. And he has this long story about the Greyhound.
A greyhound is a racing dog. Spends its life running in circles, chasing a bit of felt, made up like a rabbit. One day we took it to the park. Our dad had warned us how fast that dog was, but we couldn't resist. So my brother took off the leash, and in that instant, the dog spotted a cat. Imagine it must have looked just like that piece of felt. He ran. Never saw a thing as beautiful as that old dog running. Until at last he finally caught it. And to the horror of everyone, he killed that little cat, tore it to pieces. Then he just sat there, confused. That dog had spent its whole life trying to catch that thing. Now it had no idea what to do.
Like, I think so many scenes like that has weight for the character.
Yeah.
It also has weight within the context of the whole show.
Yep.
But I also think it has weight for season 2 and even beyond. Like, it could hint at a future for these characters that,
dude,
who knows where it'll go.
Anyways, the tagline of it is all about violence, because they're kind of making a commentary on humanity. That dog story is critical to that.
Yeah, that's
if
why
it
it's
watches and it trains and it does this, and then you put it out in the real world, it's going to do that. What have these robots watched people do? Nothing but the entire first
They're
season.
traumatized.
Both the beauty in it and the horror.
Yeah.
Like, people, and Dolores says it the whole season. Some people choose to see the ugliness. I choose to see the beauty. And there's like two sides of the coin at any given point. And in this case, the responsibility was on the dog's owners, and they let it off, and it killed something without it really realizing it. And I think that just has so much. It's like one of those perfect like anecdotes that
It's like
is the whole show right there. So let's transition completely to season 2.
Yes. Yep.
Where do we think the tone of this season may go, given where the season 1 ended?
Based on where season 1 ended, based on the trailer, and based on HBO as a network, they are going to kind of use a crutch of HBO's salacious, drama-filled, sex and violence-filled story writing. They're going to do a little bit more of that this season. The reason I don't necessarily think it's bad is because it's been properly built up in the first season.
I think if it does go that direction, it will go there for a reason.
Yes.
I hope so. I hope there's a reason.
I think one thing that this season can explore is the different worlds and
Absolutely.
what they mean. And we think season 2 will be able to keep the same level of complexity, the same level of hypothesizing.
Right.
Yeah, I think they will.
They planted so many seeds around bigger intentions with the Delos Corporation in the first season that for none of them to be harvested in the second would be weird to me. Plus, we already see the white drone.
Yeah, in the trailer. I just expect there will be some sort of bombshell, at the end. I don't know specifically what it is.
Okay, so Ford created Westworld.
Yep.
Created the original Westworld. These other worlds are a spin-off of his.
Let's talk about this.
Because that was, I thought about that at the end. It's like, so are these, was Westworld before these other worlds?
I would say that Ford and Arnold created Westworld first, and then it got spun off. And I think
by the company, and they had nothing to do with it, but they secretly engineered.
Which
stuff.
is why I think this season will at least get whether it's somebody maybe related to Ford or
maybe
Arnold.
Or a
it's Toyota. I actually don't think they're going to go crazy with a bunch of them. I think they'll stick it to just Shogun World for this season. So this season is called The Door.
Yeah.
Season 1 was called The Maze.
Yep.
And we figured out The Maze ultimately wasn't necessarily related to like a game within the game. No. This place isn't for you. It's for the hosts. Yes. It's for them to figure out what consciousness means. What do you guys think The Door is going to signify?
But I think that it could have something to do with these hosts entering the real world.
In the trailer, there's a shot of a city at one point. So they're at some point we see something that isn't Westworld and isn't the inside of a high-tech company
facility
running.
So it kind of shows what the world looks like.
So there's a
outside.
city, and maybe it is. Maybe it's the world. Maybe it's not.
Maybe not. Maybe they're all robots.
You wouldn't even know.
You wouldn't have. Maybe Ford. That was Ford's decision.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things you could do.
It sounds like you are predicting them getting to the real world
I
this
am
season.
That's a good art.
I mean, Maeve
going up to the door to get to the real world.
Right, but guys, Maeve got really far in that facility, right?
She did. She was on the train to go out.
Right. Like,
do we know the train goes out?
Well, yeah, the train might not.
What do we know?
What do we know?
Nothing.
I don't know what the door is, but I see a lot of metaphors to Alice in Wonderland, and she has to choose different doors: a small door, a little door, like all these different doors.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
You're making me rethink all
Wow,
my
I know,
entire
right?
answer.
But like,
Dude.
but
Things
is
like-
the girl in the white shoes the white rabbit?
Right.
Like there's a lot of there's a lot of different things.
We're unpacking so much.
Throw my crap out. Like,
Throw it out.
Because what?
Because several characters, Dolores and Maeve especially, the powerhouse women of the series, are going through self-discovery journeys, much like Alice.
I think The Door, because season 1, The Maze, is all about an inward, introspective journey, that they have a identity that, like, it's all about, oh, that voice I'm hearing, that's me. I actually think The Door will become around kind of like a very existential kind of mindset that we were talking about. Like, now that I know, I know that I am an individual. Who am I?
Right.
Like, what is my actual personality?
Right.
Like, what is my
Purpose.
identity?
Why
and
are we
then
here?
what is my like? They're going to go through this very much self-aware, like that. Everything is built around the core memory that is always about suffering. Like, what is my point here now that I was created by
That's
someone
interesting
else?
when we talk about
Totally
suffering.
right.
That is the purpose of life. Is to
Buddhism.
It's just
Life is to suffer.
Life is to suffer, but it's also to prepare yourself for the suffering.
They're
I didn't
bringing-
even think
hold on,
about
they're
that.
bringing in Shogun World, Eastern philosophy and Buddhism. Holy crap! When you talk, because Western philosophy on consciousness is the great philosophers. We've already talked. The first season dealt with the great Western philosophers, but if you think about the Eastern philosophers, the Buddha and Confucius, so the Buddha especially, life is suffering, existential crisis. But do you know how that ends? You know what nirvana is? It's freeing yourself from the cycle of suffering.
yeah.
Are they going to transcend to a higher plane than humanity and consciousness?
Go through the door.
Through the door,
You
like
see what I
her.
mean?
It's
Yeah.
like her.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
See what I mean?
What?
These are the corrupted ones. These are the corrupted hosts. So I feel like they would want to remove them. Like there is, and if they're going to try and go off the grid and be more independent and avoid it, like I feel like the threat of death now is on the table for them. We talk about evolution. There's also the idea of procreation,
Right.
And that the whole theme is around Ford and like creating life, creating
Blade
consciousness
Runner.
from like
Will they build more robots?
and so, like, if you apply that to Dolores, even, or Maeve for that matter, with a daughter, like, I think they're gonna address that.
Okay, talking about replication, I think it's mostly, rather than truly replicating, it's spreading their self-awareness. It's getting all the other robots. But not all of them are immediately going to be on, like, the good team, right? They're not going to be on the...
Well, they're not designed that
Right,
way,
they're not
'cause
designed that
Arnold
way.
didn't do it, and
Bingo.
Ford didn't.
So
help
you're going to
them.
have this whole, like, oh, I awake another host. Do you want to help the revolution or not?
So there'd be different factions.
Yeah.
Of like there'd be like an android war.
I want to do a rapid fire of where we think the characters. The last time we saw them, where we think like Ford died.
Yep.
I think that's not him. I think one or two things can happen.
Yeah.
I think he maybe could be already dead.
Okay.
But he's uploaded his conscious to the whole world.
Let's move on to Maeve.
Here's an idea. I just thought it was now.
Okay.
So Ford sets up this puzzle piece. All right. He tries to do two different ways to try to give maybe these two different people, two different factions free wills. He tries something different with Maeve and tries something different with Dolores.
Nature versus nurture.
Right.
Yeah,
it is.
yeah. With your free will and your abilities, can you
Stop.
overcome this?
Now listen.
Dropping bombs on me.
That was a
today, Ben.
bomb.
Like-
That was a bomb. Well, I
Pure
can't
goodness.
answer where Maeve is going without answering where Dolores is going, because there are clearly, we've hinted at this several times, there are dual lines kind of going on, storylines of some kind.
The dark
where,
side and the
well,
light side.
I don't put them as contrasting. It's more they're parallel, and she's on this personal vendetta, right? And she's up in the actual infrastructure of the company, and she's doing her own thing as a lone wolf, whereas Dolores is down here gathering the other hosts, spreading the idea, leading the revolution, right? So you've got someone pursuing their own goals and someone pursuing the goals of her kind.
So where do we think the Men in Black edit, specifically Ed Harris's character, is going to go?
I can't read that at all.
If I were to make a prediction, the crux for him will be we're going to get Old Man Logan to come back in.
Yeah.
And he's gonna slink.
Yep.
But no, he's not. But I think he's gonna get involved with. Maybe he's involved with Shogun World. Maybe
Right,
he's
right.
involved some other way.
Right.
We don't know for sure
you
if
think
even Old Man, or we don't know for sure if even the Man in Black married his sister necessarily.
Yeah, we don't even know if that happened.
I think they're going to fill in that middle gap.
Yes.
Where they in the timeline where we don't have too much information.
Who's truly in love with her.
Maybe at one point they'll do a montage that this whole time he's been in love with her,
right?
And he keeps coming back, but it's 51st dates.
Right.
She keeps forgetting.
Yeah,
and
the whole time it's been 51st dates.
He just has like
Adam Sandler's in it. It's going to be incredible.
Elsie, do we think she's alive or not? I would say she's dead.
Yeah, I think she's dead. I think she's dead.
Okay. Let's wrap up. What's your one big prediction for this season that you would stake your reputation on? And it can be as bold or as insignificant, but if it's insignificant, I will judge you.
Big prediction.
I think what will be revealed is that all of the hosts are based off of real people.
Oh.
And then it gets to what you were talking about altered carbon.
Yeah, it was.
I think there will be an altered carbon element.
Yeah.
So the shot in the trailer where we see Dolores in the city, I think it's going to be these are real people that they were based off. It'll reveal something both about the real world, but that we may not explore fully.
Right.
But they're trying to live on in this version that is not just based on memories, but one that can also fully live. So that is my prediction.
The reason that's so brilliant is because I'm sorry, I feel like an idiot for not noticing this before, but Man in Black on the board, what's he on the board for? Medical shit. He cures diseases and stuff. They're obviously building bodies that they can then take shit out of, and he knows all that medical information. Oh my god. Now, I will go on a prediction here that it's not the main purpose of Delos, and you can judge me because it's one of the easy predictions. There's a military aspect to this, and it's going to be the drone ones. Yeah, they're creating some soldier bots, and we're going to see them kind of let loose.
Aliens,
to take care
Jurassic
of this problem.
Park, that's every...
Yeah.
Now think of it as there are two factions with what these parks are.
Yeah.
One is about developing the best military equipment, and so they come through not pre-programmed. They have to get the muscle memory.
Yeah.
It's all based on muscle memory, and that's how you rationalize it. So you put them in the different worlds to learn that kind of world combat.
Yeah.
The other angle that I will say is, and I think will happen, and it answers our question about new characters, is let's say you show up in Shogun World.
Yeah.
And Maeve is walking around.
Yeah.
And guess what? There's another Dolores over there. There's another
one.
And
shit.
they just are reusing the same characters in a different world to try and triangulate the best consciousness or something based on the different. And it gets to your point about nature nurture. Like, how do you?
And maybe that's what Ford was onto, and he didn't want that to happen. So he wanted to have the uprisings, and they wouldn't have to do that.
I'll tell you this. I think that it's too obvious for them to ignore. Like they want to ignore it out of spite because it's so obvious, but like the immortality thing, you can't. I think as a good story writer, you just can't ignore that immortality is an issue in this world that people pursue, don't want. That's a whole big thing, and the story writers probably don't like that because they're trying to be creative, but they're like, this is a natural conclusion.
Well, is this it?
If my theory is gonna hold, then I have to also predict that the Man in Black in the real world is gonna meet the real world Dolores, or is gonna have found who that is in the real world.
Well, that would be beautiful.
That would be
so cool.
exactly. Yep.
Beautiful.
And so he
so
falls in
cool.
love
And
with
like
this real person, and
these-
it's not just falling in love with the surrogate. It's so good.
But also, it's not the same either.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many different ways.
There's a difference.
Yeah, it's like you love the idea of her.
Yeah. All right.
And it could be all wrong.
Sparkle Madness.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Cheers.
These violent delights have violent ends.